Hello YouTube, this is Bryant Tubbs coming at you with another video. Today I'm working on a piece we call Reaching. It's of course it's an indoor-outdoor piece, but primarily outdoor piece. All stainless steel upper in core 10 on the lower portion. This piece, we sold it almost 2 years ago now, and we sold it at a show in Ohio. And we sold it to a guy that owns a law office in Ohio, right around the Perrysburg area. And we went by back in February of this year just to check it out, just to make sure it was, you know, still looking good. We took some stainless steel polish and just went down there and just made it look pretty. That's what we do sometime when we sell what we call bigs. We'll just kind of show up at the scene where it's located, and we'll just check it out, just make sure everything looks good. And if it doesn't look like we want it, I mean, you know, bird mess on it, you know, that kind of thing, we'll clean it up real nice just to keep it looking good. So we went in February, March of this year, and it was looking really good. I mean, we cleaned it up and whatnot, and we went and delivered a piece called Waves. I told a story a couple of videos ago where a lady wanted a smaller piece for outdoors, and she was there at the same time as another couple that wanted that piece. So we told her we'll make her another piece that was larger for outdoors. You know, the Waves with the little balls in the center, that piece. So when we went to deliver that about 3-4 weeks ago, we stopped by the law office again just to check on the piece again, since we were in that area. And it looked fine from here, I mean from where I was standing. And then when I got up on the piece, you know, I had some polish in my hand. I was just polishing it up a little bit. And as I was wiping this portion right here, I started hearing like a clacking noise, kind of a banging type noise. It's really small and gentle. But I'm asking myself, what could make that type of noise with something that's welded solidly together? So I still didn't understand it, but then I started just touching things, and I touched this donut, what we call a donut, and it moved. And I'm saying, why is this moving? Because it's welded from underneath here to the bottom of it, and it's welded through this pocket to the top of it. So it's welded in place here. So that also helps hold the piece together. But this piece was moving around. I said, now how is that possible? Because I know the welds can't break this on their own just by, you know, just being out in the elements. They're not going to break, because it's, like I said again, it's solidly welded together. And so I started saying to myself, asking myself, man, did I make a mistake? Did I do something wrong in the welding process? I mean, what's going on? And so I asked my wife to call the lawyer, just to ask him what happened to the piece. Why did it come loose like this? So she called him, and sure enough, he said that there was a storm, a major storm that came through that area. A lot of flat land came through that area and blew this piece over onto the concrete sidewalk right there. It sits on a mound, kind of a dirt mound, He was supposed to have staked it down or poured a concrete pad, but he probably forgot or just didn't have time. So it was just sitting in the dirt, and they had kind of put some mulch around the lower base of it. But he had it sitting around the corner of his office, so when the wind came across the field, it just hit this, and it was facing this direction. His office building is behind it, facing this direction, and he had this on the corner of the building facing this direction. So when the wind came through, it caught this whole side and just pushed it over. It kind of dented it up here just a little bit. It dented it here the first time. So he didn't call us, didn't say anything. He and some of his crew, they just stood it back up, put it back in place, and just left it like that. Didn't call us or anything. So a few months later, they had another storm. But when they put the piece, the first time when it fell, when they put the piece back in position, they didn't turn it in this position the next time. They turned it more in this position. More like this. So now with the piece sitting in front of the office, when you came up into the parking lot, you saw this as opposed to the front. This is considered a side. This is the front. This is the back. This is another side back here. But it just depends on how the customer or client wants to position it. It's all up to them. Because sometimes, like when you come into their parking lot, they got the sidewalk here, people walk up and see it. But then inside the building, they have a window right there next to it. So they want to be able to see it. So when we drove up to it and got out of the car, it was in this position. And the first thing I said was, why did they turn it from the position it was in? But at that time I didn't know that this had came loose. Because I mean, really just looking at it, you really can't tell that it came loose. Let me, well, I was going to spin you guys around, but the sun is so bright, it probably wouldn't be able to see it clearly anyway. So he and his crew set it back in place in this position. A couple months later, another storm came through. Again, this is in Perrysburg, Ohio. Not far from Bowling Green, that area up there. A lot of open plain areas. They have what's called Levis Commons, which is a large shopping area, very expensive, like condominiums and whatnot up there in that little section right there. And his office kind of sits off by itself. He built his office about probably about 2 or 3 years ago. Brand new office. So when the wind came through the second time, the winds were so strong that they caught it back here and blew it over, which is very unusual because we have pieces sitting outside that are not anchored down. We get strong winds come through, rain, all that stuff. They don't move. But those Ohio winds, I don't know if it was may have been a tornado in the distance that pushed through. But the second time, it pushed it on this. So that's how the weld in here broke loose, because of all the force, because this extends out past everything else. So there's a mark on here from where it hit the concrete. And so the damage is, as I said before, a little bit here. So what I'm going to do here is just take my Chig water and just weld that back up, smooth all this back on this side here. But the other problem is it must have been the first time it fell. It dented the top of this. So as opposed to this being flat in here where the donut sits, it rose. It's high in the center, but on each side it kind of rolls down. It goes from high, low, back up to these sides. So in here in the center, it's kind of rolled down on this side, rolled down on this side, and it's high in the center where it connects to this. So that's the damage. So what I'm going to have to do, you guys can see, let's go move it around a little bit. These are not light. So what I'm going to do, if I could have gotten this donut out of here without having to cut this piece of metal out, I was going to just take the donut out, get a metal bar, like a pry bar, put it on here, weld it on, maybe get a piece of wood or something, put it here, and use this as my lever point. So I'm going to have the bar welded on here, extend it out here, take my pry bar and pry that metal back up, heat it up a little bit, pry it, this dip and the other side, just pry both of them up, get them level as possible, and then weld the donut on. But instead of going from the inside this time, like I did before, I'm going to go from the outside. Just put really nice tacks here, and where it meets up here, but you got to put the clamp on and pull this down like it was. And then I'll put a small tack here on both sides. Now the person looking at it, they'll probably most likely not even notice the welds because they're going to be small, just small dime welds. I have been thinking about doing that anyway with these pieces, so it won't take so long, because this piece takes a long time to make, because I have to make this lower portion, then I have to cut this open, this bottom flap. I have to cut that back open on both sides so it'll hang, so it'll flap down. On this piece, the front cap, I have to leave that off. But as I'm welding it up, I have the cap on and just tack bolt it around in certain spots. Because if I don't tack it on there, you TIG weld this up, it'll twist. So I didn't want it to twist, so I just tacked it up in these locations. So what I'm going to have to do is cut this out, cut it down the line here down the seam on both sides, and then cut the front out and take the whole section out. Cut new metal, put it in, weld it in, grind it, get on the same level as this. So basically starting all over again with this section right here. Other than that, I would have to have taken this whole flap out again, because it's normally from here to about here, it'll just be hanging. So when I put this donut on there and smash it together, I put my water in there and weld this donut to this core 10. And the same on the top. I will go through this big hole here and weld from inside to weld this to this. But I'm not going through all of that, because this is a repair. If I was making the piece, then yeah, I would probably go from the inside, probably, but I'm thinking about changing the way it's done, because it just takes too long to do it. And so that's where I am right now with this. And so I'm going to go ahead and get back to work. And after I get this cut out, I'm sure I'll make another video on me putting the other piece in and starting to weld it up. I'll probably end up TIGging it as opposed to MIGging, because I don't want to get all that MIG spatter on the stainless steel, because I can't get my grinder in there good to grind everything out. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. And I guess this video will be entitled Repairing Reaching. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today. As usual, peace out.